Honestly, if there's 4 of us on the podcast, and if we could all write up a list of folk that we could get on, you were definitely in the top 1, I think, on all of our lists.
Well, that's very kind of them.
So I'm
That's
absolutely
very kind. I mean that genuinely from my heart, you, and that's to all you guys. Means a lot to me. Means a lot.
I'll do a little intro and just introduce you. So.
Whoa! Stop again. How can you do a little intro about James Leishman, MBE, 9th Fellow of Carnegie College, and the Provost of Kingdom Fife? Ewan, yeah, right. I want somebody else to do this interview.
Knocks it through. Mullen bursting into the box. Josh Mullen.
Mullen's ball across. It's dropped in. It's Pittman who's got it. Livingston leads.
Now can they get the ball back in? O'Brien.
Lead! And Livingston have the lead.
Mum, can score.
The full-time whistle blows and David Hay celebrates. And the Livingston fans join in exultation.
Livingston have the lead against Rangers, and they are certainly rising to a few occasions on their return to the top flight in Scotland.
This week on Talk Livy, I can't quite believe I'm saying this, but we're delighted to welcome legendary former manager Jim Leishman onto the podcast. Jim, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Ewan, and it's so nice. And I mean this genuinely. It's so nice to get asked to come along and talk about Livingston Football Club. A great period in my life, a fantastic period in my life.
Well, Jim, I'm sure the fans will be absolutely delighted to hear you chatting all things Livy. But first of all, you're a councillor these days and Provost of Fife as well. How's that been over the last year with COVID? How's that changed your role?
And that's your first mistake. Honestly, it's a Provost of the Kingdom of Fife.
Provost of the Kingdom of Fife. I do apologise.
It's a kingdom.
Sincerely.
We've got a kingdom across here in Fife. I was so lucky to move out of the Kingdom of Fife to come into West Lothian and take that famous football team of Livingston. To answer the question, it's going great. I'm just coming in May. It'll be my 9th year as the Provost, and I got re-elected. I was the first Provost of Fife to get re-elected, Ewan, and I've really enjoyed it. I've really enjoyed it, and I've put my heart and soul to it. Like I did with Livingston Football Club, I put my heart and soul, and it's been a great experience. You've got to remember, Ewan, that my dad was a coal miner, and my mum worked in the factory, and so I didn't have one of these. I had a great upbringing, and great memories. My dad was my hero, and my mum was a mentor. She looked after me. I was the youngest, and so for me to become the Provost of the Kingdom of Fife and get re-elected, Ewan, I got re-elected for my second term, and it's just been such an honour to represent the people, because it's the people that elect you. And that was a great. I had a tear in my eye when I got re-elected, Ewan, to be honest. And I've only had tears in my eyes twice, and we'll talk about it, I'm sure, later on, when I led Livingston Football Club out in Vaduz in the first European game. And I looked along the line to all the great players we had at that time, and the tears come down my face. Davy Hay was there. Davy had a great part in that. Fantastic part in that, and I looked along and I'm saying, wow, this is unbelievable. I've helped I've helped to take a team to Europe. A small team at that time called Livingston Football Club, and we are playing in Europe. And the tears come down my face, Ian.
It was some achievement to do that, and we'll obviously come on to that as well, Jim. But everyone knows you had your true love is Dunfermline, but you did have that little affair for a number of years at Livingston. But it all started off at Meadowbank. You were manager there for a short spell, and I believe you had a bit of an awkward first home game there where you waved to the wrong supporters.
Aye. Ewan, I'm glad you said about my first love's Dunfermline Athletic, and yes, it is, and it still is. But I was unemployed at the time, football-wise. I had a good job, and I got Bill Hunter, God bless him. I'm not saying God bless him; he's still alive. But I got a great opportunity to come. But I left school in 1968, Ewan.
Yeah.
On the Friday, and started on the Monday, 1970, as a assistant professional. And Dunfermline, I could have signed for loads of teams. I was a schoolboy international, and then but Dunfermline was a local team. Just won the Scottish Cup 1968, European Cup Winners' Cup, and I got an opportunity there.
Yeah.
And so that's why it's a love for me, because I played for them, I managed them, and great. But don't take anything away about me getting the opportunity to manage Livingston Football Club. Meadowbank, I'm so proud, Ewan. I'm the last manager of Meadowbank Thistle, a club with great history.
Yeah.
Great history. Terry Christie did brilliant, and all the guys before him, they did super. And I was the last manager in Meadowbank Thistle, formerly Ferrante Thistle, as you know, then Meadowbank Thistle, and I'm the first manager at Livingston Football. I can remember the game. I remember, honestly, Ewan, because I'm going right back to getting the offer, right? Becoming the manager at Livingston. George McNeil and I were at Logan Lee Miners' Welfare, just up the village, right? And we were guest speakers. And I said to George McNeil, I says, George, and I didn't have a team at the time. I says, George, Bill Hunter, never met the man before. Bill Hunter's now the chairman, and they're looking for a manager. George, tell all the crowd at Logan Lee Miners, tell them Jim would be great. He did great Dunfermline for the bottom league and up there and everything. And George did a great job. When I go up to speak, right, all the Logan Lee Miners guys, Lee Schmidt, Ronald William Joe, Lee Schmidt. I'm sitting next to Bill Hunter, right? Listen, son, he says, Bill Hunter takes credit. He says, I wouldn't mind meeting you tomorrow. And I went to see him, and I got the job. And I was like that, wow. Because I was teaching kids sports management at Lauder College, now Fife College in Dunfermline, and I got the job, and I was like that, yes, 15 grand, £15,000 a year, Meadowbank Thistle, Livingston, my first year, 15,000 quid.
And as you say, that you joined Meadowbank Thistle, and the club did have some kind of financial problems at the time. When did it become apparent that Bill Hunter was planning to move the club over to Livingston?
Well, before my time, I went to speak at a dinner, another dinner before that, and there was a huge, the Meadowbank Thistle loyals, if that's what they're called, Meadowbank Thistle guys were really adamant that they wanted to stay in the capital.
Yeah.
I was a guest speaker, and I didn't know the history, what was going on behind that. And I said, I think it's a great move going to Livingston. No other teams in Livingston. Meadowbank's got Hearts, they've got Hibs, and Meadowbank will always be known as the second biggest team in the capital. If you're a Hearts supporter, it's Meadowbank Thistle. Hibs supporter, it's Meadowbank, and that's what they're known as. And there was a wee bit heated debate then that night at the dinner, and I just didn't know what was going on. And as I say, I've just spoke about maybe 3 or 4 or 5 weeks after that.
Yeah.
I'm at the Logan Lee Miners, and you want a funny story? Honestly,
I'll go for it.
Ewan, I gets a job, right? My first game in charge was Dumbarton at Meadowbank, right? We were still known as Meadowbank, but about 4 or 5 games to go. We're relegated.
Yeah.
And so I did my talk to the players, and we're in the talking how I was so proud I was getting the job as Meadowbank, and but only come here because we're going to Livingston, and we've got a great history in front of us.
Yeah.
And I went out. Do you know Meadowbank Stadium?
Yeah, I've been.
Right.
I've managed to see Livy at all three of their previous homes. So it's City
Super.
Park and Meadowbank as well. So
Well, Ewan, I walked out. My first game in charge, Dumbarton Football Club, Murdo MacLeod, they're top of the league. We're trying to avoid relegation. And I'm walking along the track, and I looks up, and all these supporters with their amber and black scarves waving. And I thought it was for me, eh? So I'm clapping them and I'm waving to them. It was the Dumbarton supporters. I'm going like this. Yeah. You know, I'm saying, it wasn't until after the game, I'm saying, I'm what the Meadowbank Thistle guys, they burst me saying, what is it clapping it for? And we beat them 1-0. My first game in charge, Meadowbank Thistle, 1-0. I'm trying to think who scored the goal. You'll be able to check it out sometime. I don't know if it was Jason Young or Lee Bailey. One of the two.
I remember both the names of Jason Young and Lee Bailey. I do remember.
Great, did great.
Yeah.
But that was my first game in charge. And I'm clapping the Dumbarton fans. I went to him that night and said, "You're a big daft bugger." Great.
What a way to endear yourself to your new supporters as well, eh?
Oh, you and unfortunately half of them, or 3/4 of them, were standing outside because they weren't allowed in.
Yeah.
And they were watching the game for the side. And then I realised about what the dispute was. Eh? But can I say to them, I met a lot of them, eh?
Yeah.
And I spoke to a lot of them. But it was the best decision Bill Hunter made to go from Meadowbank to Livingston Football Club, West Lothian, because it was the only time the location was great. You had Glasgow, you had Motherwell, you had Tynecastle, you had the Lothians, and we were right in the middle. A great catchment area. Look at the players, the young players that come through from there, and we'll talk about that.
And as you say, the move did come about to go to Livingston, and we would compete in the 3rd division in 1995. What was it like, almost starting a club from scratch, going over to Livingston, new stadium and everything like that as well?
I went to Armand Vale, right? And they were doing the steel erecting. There was no dressing rooms, there was nothing. And I went and I looked round, I walked round, because I had a good job. I was teaching at Lauder College.
Yeah.
And I went up to the banking where the swimming pool is now, and I looked down, and you had all the steel erecting and everything, and there was no park. And I said, "This is great. This is great. This is potentially, there's nobody near them. You're right in the centre. What a catchment area. 3rd division." I says, I'm going to take this. It's a challenge, because when I took over at Dunfermline, when I took over at 29 in Dunfermline,
yeah,
there were 38 teams in Europe.
Scotland.
Which is in Europe, right? There were 38 teams in Scotland, because my thoughts was because I took Dunfermline went to Europe, and so did Livingston. 38 teams in Dunfermline were 34th. 34th. The 41 games in Europe, Dunfermline, in the 60s, three Scottish Cups, two champions of the Scottish Cup, and then I says, here I'm at Livingston. So I took Dunfermline for the 34th, right up to the Premier League, into Europe, all this. And I says, this is something similar here, eh?
Yeah.
Livingston is something that they've never had anything. Meadowbank Thistle, great history. Terry Christie, fantastic achievements. His team, good players. And I says, I've got a chance here to start from nothing and go up. I says, I can do this, eh? And I looked at myself, Ewan. I says, I can do this. I can. George McNeil, great. Fantastic. See any of you guys for Livingston Football Club.
Yeah.
If you ever see George McNeil, George, thanks for what you did, eh? Because he helped me. If it wasn't for George got the players fit as anything. He says, when I took over Meadowbank, I phoned George. I says, George, I want you to come and watch the team play 2 games.
Yeah.
This is true, Ewan, right? Nobody knows this. George, come and see the team and assess. George was a world champion sprinter, eh? Fitness fanatic. He says, go and sit in the stand at Meadowbank and have a look at their fitness. But he did that, and he says, Jim, we can improve that 100%. We can really work on that. No disrespect to the previous manager, but George is a different standard. Woof. I says, right, George, I want you to be my assistant manager. You be the assistant, George. He says, I'm not a football manager. I'll do the football, you do the fitness. Right? And he says, okay then. Well, and that's when it kicked off, Uni. I'm telling you, it kicked off, man.
And that first season, once we moved to Livingston, would be a very successful one. We would go on to clinch the 3rd division title. How big an achievement was that, considering the upheaval with the move from Meadowbank over to Livingston the previous summer?
For Livingston, it was great. For me, it was expected. Because I remember that at Dunfermline, I took them right up the leagues very quickly. You know, for me, I'd have been disappointed if I didn't achieve that. And we won it easy, yeah. We won it easy. We had good players, Ewan.
Yeah.
See the Meadowbank guys, they were unlucky, yeah. They were unlucky. Stuart Williamson, Tom Graham, Lee Bailey, Jason Young, Grant, all the boys there at that time.
You would have had Rab Douglas as well, wouldn't you, at that point?
Ewan, that's an amazing story. Steve Ellis was a goalie then. Steve Ellison, right? Terry Grace, great, good goalie, but he wanted to move. Terry had moved, so Steve wanted to go with him. I'm doing the coaching session with George McNeil, and I'm standing, the boys are doing their workouts and whatever. And this big boy comes up to me. True story. I'm standing, I says, can I help you something? He says, I like to train. And I'm looking at him, I says, well, no bother, but you've got to get a trial first. You can't even go to, no, I'm a signed player. I says, what do you mean you're a signed player? Like, he says, I got signed by such and such. And I'd like to start training again because I fell out with the manager. I says, right, go on then. Join in. Big Rab Douglas. And now Bill Hunter had agreed, I'm sure, or was going to agree, that Big Rab was going to sign for Lanark United, the juniors, for £1,000.
Imagine what a mistake that would have been.
Oh yeah, boy. There's more to come. There's more to come, son. I'm telling you. But Rab signed, or Rab stayed. Stevie Ellis went with, I think, to Stennismuir with Terry Christie. And Rab was my second goalkeeper. Big Horace Stout was the goalie. And he was a good goalie too. The two of them. Horace got injured at Queen's Park. We're playing and we won. And a guy who I signed later on, Brian McPhee.
Yeah.
I signed Brian for Queen's Park. Brian hit a shot for maybe 20 yards. And Big Horace tipped it the last couple of minutes. And great shot. He tipped it round. And when he landed on his knee, he burst his knee. Right? And great save. And we won 1-0. But Brian McPhee, who later signed, and Horace got injured, and who replaced him? Rab Douglas. Meadowbank had some great goalies. Jim McQueen, Horace Stout, Rob Douglas, Neil Alexander, Javier Broto. I signed 4 of them.
You must have an eye for a goalkeeper then, Jim, eh?
If you didn't let a goal in, you win the game, son. Right? You tell the Livy boys that. Didn't let a goal in and you're going to win.
Just keep
Simple.
football simple.
Didn't go 4-1, 4-1, 6-3, 5-2, 7-8. Right? Just didn't let the goals go in. Get a good goalie.
The following campaign, obviously we got promoted to the second division and we narrowly missed out on promotion that season.
Yeah. Broke my heart. Broke my heart. Yeah. Broke my heart. That would have been some achievement. Just missed out the last game. Unbelievable. Anyway, history.
You would decide to take a back seat from the dugout and move upstairs into general manager role, and Ray Stewart came in. What was the thinking behind that decision, Jim?
I think, I don't know, Dominic Keane. Dominic Keane come in and Dominic says, "Look, Jim, I'm not ready because you're such an ambassador. You're doing such a good job. But just take a back seat to be organise things and whatever." And he was building the stadium.
Yeah.
At that time, they were building the extensions, the whatever, and he needed somebody he could trust that would be his side, his right hand man to make sure everything was getting going on. And I was saying to myself, I do this, that. And I decided to do that, and it was the best decision I made. Because I stepped back, and says, right, come on, let's analyse where you've done, what you've done, and where you've been, and I became a better football person than you and me. I learnt more, and I says, right, great. Raymond was a great guy, and he did really well. It just didn't work out for him at the end of the day. Yeah.
And as you say, Raymond Stewart managed to win the second division title, and he lost his job first season in the first division, and you went back into the dugout, and you formed a formidable partnership with Davy Hay.
Yeah.
Did Dominic Keane's links with Celtic, was that how Davy Hay arrived at the club?
No. I can remember Raymond down at Green at Morton, you and me.
Yep. And
it was a midweek game, and we got beat. Mark Miller got asked to go because he fell out with the fans, etc. that night. And I'm saying to myself, oh Christ, what's happening here? And that was when Dominic and Wally Hockey and John, they decided, no, let's move on. And it was Wally Hockey, Wally Hockey says, well, let's no muck about here. You've got two of the most experienced managers in Scottish football. Davy Hay, what he did with Celtic, and what I'd done with Dunfermline. He says, we're not going to advertise. We're not going to get on the job and let's see what's going on. So we took over for the rest of the season. Then the next season, we just romped it, We just romped it. We made Livingston proud again, But good luck to Raymond. Raymond really tried his best, I was a manager in Inverness Thistle for a year.
Yeah, aye.
And we won the title up at Inverness. And see that year when Davy and I took over, you asked Davy Hay about this guy, the director of Inverness, Jim, making that Inverness accent. Unlucky, Jim. Unlucky. He says, that's the worst Livingston team I've ever seen. And I felt like I swore, I said to myself, I'm coming back next year with a vengeance. And we won it at Livingston, I felt like going up there. Unlucky, son, that's the worst Inverness Thistle I've ever beat. I'm telling you, and we won up at Inverness. They wanted, because it's Jim Leishman, they always want to shove up Jim Leishman, Inverness, Jim. Anyway. But I love Livingston. I had a great time at Livingston as well for a year.
And you and Davy Hay had a pretty good relationship, but was there a bit of a good cop, bad cop routine between the two of you?
I was the bad cop, I'll tell you that. People think I was a nice guy in that. Davy was so laid back, Davy was very, very clever, He didn't say much, but when he did the talking, the place loved him. I'm not sure what they thought about me, but But no, the 2 years going great, uni. I actually got David the Dunfermline job.
Yeah.
When I went to Dunfermline, I recommended David very, very highly to get the Dunfermline job. But great, the 2 years are a great time. You want a secret? Don't see if you ever tell anybody else you're great. When we finished third top, all right, Davey and I were in the dugout, and Davey's daughter was getting married, and my daughter was getting married. Right? So when we're beating teams 2-0, 3-0, we're beating all the big teams, we're beating everyone. And Davey and I were on the bonus as well, eh? So I would say to Davey, if we're 2-0 up, I says, Davey, that's a wedding dress paid for. Davey would say, that's true. That's what the whole thing we're talking about, tactics and everything. I says, Davey, oh, it's brilliant. What a great Jim, that's a car's pay for Jim. Davey, that's a drinks drink respect. We beat Rangers, we beat this thing. Davey, I think that pays for the drink reception. Oh, Livy fans, yay! That's what we're talking about, you. Right? I shouldn't say that, eh?
Aye, you've got to pay for things somehow, Jim, don't you?
That's it. We were. Hey, you. There's nobody prepared the players. My strength was signing good players. Marvin Andrews, Javier Bro, David Fernandez, all these guys, eh? And Davey got a couple of Rubio, Oscar Rubio, Kino. Davey got these, and we worked so hard to get a team together and to finish third top, Ewan. Hey, I'm not caring what anybody says. That's amazing. Coming from one division to the third top, Livingston Football Club should be so proud of that team. I wish I could get them all together. That'd be a great achievement if we could invite them all together to Livingston to have a night. The third top team and champions. No taking nothing away from Davey, Martindale, or getting to the cup final, but that, in my mind, was the best team that Livingston's ever had. And I hope, well, Davey's done brilliant. You know, they're going for the top 6 now. That's amazing. Livingston Football Club today again, 2 cup finals, top 6, gone for brilliant, man.
And you touched on the players that you signed that season in the first division when we eventually went on to win it. Guys like Tosh, Fernandez, Brotto, Marvin all came in. Was that a lesson that you learned in your first stint at Dunfermline when you got promotion to the top flight, that you felt the need to strengthen the squad and you couldn't necessarily go up with a group of players that got you promotion?
Ewan, that's a great question, Ewan. Honestly, and that's what I learned from me. I was only 29 at Dunfermline, Ewan,
Yeah.
And as I say to you, there were 34 out of 38 teams. My first full year, we finished third top. We missed out the last day on promotion. The next year, we won the first division. We won the second division.
Yeah.
The next year, we got promotion to the Premier League. Consecutive years, eh?
Yeah.
So it was amazing journey. And I stuck by the players that got me there, eh? No disrespect to them, Ewan, because they were achievers. You think they were achievers. You go back to the Livingston guys, Tam Graham, Stuart Williamson, Gordon McLeod, Grant McMartin, all these guys, they achieved success. But I remember for Dunfermline, right, I went up with these guys and I got relegated.
Yeah.
I went back down, I went back up again, and I went up with a team that could stay up there. And that's when I looked at Marvin Andrews, Fernandez, Brotto, Kino, all these guys. Davey Higo, Kino, and Rubio. I looked at Fernandez, I looked at Oscar Rubio, Javier Brotto, all these guys, all these. So we worked as a team. Dave and I worked as a team. He would go and do that side. I would go for Fife up to Aberdeen and get boys. It was great. It was great. And oh yeah, boy. Can I tell you a story? Do you know how we got Andrews, Tosh, and Alec Burns. We got humped on the Saturday, can you mind? The Rovers humped us.
Vaguely, yes.
4-1 or something. Can you mind the game?
Yeah, very vaguely, Jim, very vaguely.
Well, the older guys will remember that we played Raith Rovers and we got hammered. Andrews, Marvin, Buff, Heather, Stevie Tosh. Brilliant. I got a phone call on the Monday. Right, I'm in my office Monday. The chairman, Raith Rovers, Jim, we've got a wee problem. We're trying to move players on. The players with the big money or whatever. Do you fancy anyone? I says, well, who are you talking about? You know, you name names. I says, Marvin Andrews. Right. Anybody else? I says, Alec Burns. Alec Burns has been the top goal scorer in that division 2 years in the trot.
Yeah.
And he says, great. Anybody else? And I says, aye, Stephen Tosh. And that's it. And Stephen Tosh wasn't a big name at the time, but he was a good, in my mind, he was a hard-working, good player, up and down, up and down, up and down. And they did that when they come to Dunfermline. Sorry, when they come to Livingston.
Tosh was a great midfielder, wasn't he? I love Steve Tosh when he was at it.
Alec Burns, the only one that didn't work out, Ewan, was Alec Burns. Because I signed Fernandez and I signed David Zoza and all these guys were coming in.
Yeah.
And Alec found it hard, in my mind, to get a game regularly. Good lad, good player, but again, because of my Dunfermline experience, no, I'm moving on. And great boys. And then we brought Barry Wilson, we brought Keno and all these guys in. Because we were buying players or bringing players in that could keep us up in the top league. We weren't bringing players in that were going to, they're not just getting into that top league if you're not going to give it a go. All credit to Willie Hockey, Dominic Keane and John McGuinness. They wanted to give it a go. Great support. In fact, I was talking to John McGuinness a week and a half ago.
Yeah.
But great memories. And you know, he's had a sad time personally, but he says, Jim, and like me, he says, Jim, Livingston FC was one of the best periods of my life. And I mean that too.
Jim, it's always lovely to hear you talk about Livingston so highly, but I've heard stories that you used to take the players away for maybe an overnight stay and things like that. Was that to help with the team spirit? And there was a few characters kicking about at the club at that time. Was that quite difficult to manage them when you were taking them away?
Who you been talking to, Ewan? You've been talking to somebody that's getting on my nerves here because you know too much. Oh, you Livy podcast guys, right? This guy's got, I've got to watch this guy. Eh? You're talking about characters. Before I talk about going away, Ewan,
yeah. And
this is genuine. When I walked into Livingston Football Club at Holland Vale, no at Meadowbank. When I come through to Holland Vale, there was a lady there, Jenny O'Halloran, right? Jenny. Yeah. It was me and Jenny. We're sitting in an office and we're talking away. And she was this sick. She did all the paperwork and everything. It was great. There was Bobby and Lorraine. Lorraine worked in the office, and Bobby, her husband, they were there all the time. Bobby and Lorraine took their boy to Meadowbank to see Meadowbank Thistle play, and they had a Meadowbank Thistle strip. Then they came through to Livingston and they supported them. Wally, apologise, Wally, Liver of the Lion, right? He became Liver of the Lion, Big Wally. His wife passed away. Sadly, and I think it was Elaine, his name was he, and all the people there. And me and Jenny were the first to come in there. Yeah. And I look back and I'm saying, wow, for that moment, we just got stuck into it, Jenny, and she was terrific, total support. I could tell her something, nobody would know. Nobody would find out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's how much I trusted Jenny O'Halloran. And I love her to bits. I think she stays in Livingston Village. So if anybody sees her, tell her I still love her to bits. She was fantastic, eh? And they were the characters. Peter Reynolds. I was at Peter's funeral. Peter was he was the kit man at Meadowbank Thistle.
Right.
And then the kit man at Livingston FC. It wasn't until I was at his funeral that I found out he was a Celtic supporter. If I'd known that, I says, Peter, you keep wanting a rise in wages and you keep wanting to say, go to the board and get me another 20 quid a week. If I'd gotten that, I wouldn't have done it. But he's a great guy. Peter Reynolds, legend. I was at his funeral and he was fantastic. Credit, Ewan, at that time, remember we finished third toppy, always be proud of that. That was an achievement that might never, ever, ever get repeated. First division, third top, Europe. Brilliant. Dominic Keane, right? Love him or hate him, right?
Yeah.
Dominic and I, we would meet all the time, and Dominic Keane, treated the boys like top professionals. I'm telling you, I learned a lot for these guys. Willie Hockey, John McGillis, Dominic Keane. Hey, we're up there, we're wanting to be. And I can go to the players and say, right, guys, we're going to get treated, right? We can't pay you like Celtic or Rangers, but we can treat you like them.
Yeah.
And we'll go to, before the home games would be in Dalmahoy. Imagine that, eh?
Aye, not bad.
Home game, you go to Dalmahoy and the boys would get treated like that. They would get a beautiful dinner, pre-match dinner, go to their bed, pre-match meal, and the boys are feeling great. And then you would go up. I'm not going to tell you too much about this, but I'm going to tell you. Dominic, he would say, Jim, how's the players? I says, let's go away. We'd go up to Carnoustie, the Carnoustie Hotel, right? We go. My pal Paul Whitecross, Paul Whitecross was the executive chef, right? First class, and he was a jambo, eh?
Right.
But he liked the football players, so I'd give him like, and the food would get was fantastic, eh? And we went up midweek one time. Went up on the Tuesday, Wednesday, and come back on the Thursday. We played on the Tuesday. We played golf, Carnoustie, brilliant. Wednesday night, we're in. I've got the top suite, right, where the clock is at Carnoustie Golf Club, right there in the middle. On the right-hand side is a bedroom. On the left-hand side is a bedroom. So Davy Hayes on the left, I'm there, and there's a big, huge dining area. Eh? Danny Cunningham, Rangers were playing Celtic in a semi-final. I says, right, Danny, pack the hampers. We're going to have a night. When I say to Danny, pack the hampers, it was 48 cans of Peroni, 20 bottles of red wine, everything, right? Because we didn't have a game on the Saturday. We take the book, and Danny's got all this, and it's a hamper where the kit used to go, and Danny's got all the ice cubes and that, eh? Well, all the players come, right? Great. Comes in and they're all in, so the beers are going, they were all celebrating, the game's on. Danny walks in with his Celtic strip on, eh? And he's singing all the Celtic songs, all the boys are be. Great, and I'm not sure if Celtic won, but that was it. And then, but we told Dominic and the board, right? Oh, the hampers are back because we're training. We're up there training. Right, so we had to pack all the gear. So Danny had to have all the straps, nothing, and all the training gear. And that was it. That's what we did. Great. And some of the and I'll give you another one. Players, players are a nuisance. Darren Young and Derek Young, Dunfermline Football Club. I took them up to the road course in St Andrews, right? Because they were serving the same principle, right? So the boys and that, and come, and you know the race kits you get, the horse racing or the greyhounds, and you can bet them. You put them on the CD. Well, I'm up there, and I said, right, lads, come on, my room. I always got a big room. Yeah, I was a bit snob. I was the one. But anyway, all the boys come with the players, and I'm buying them the drinks and whatever. And right, lads, the bets, right? Darren Young and Derek. Darren would win one race, Derek Young would win the next race, and Darren would win the next race, right through 6 races. And I'm saying to myself, they had watched the thing on the Saturday night, eh? The same video, they watched it the Saturday night, the shite bags, eh? Cost me a fortune. Didn't talk to me about football players. Yeah, I could write a book, and they could write a book with me. Hey, you Livingston Football Club players, they were my pals. The Fairland Athletic players, they were my pals. Because, see, if you're a pal, you'll do a wee bit extra for your pal, eh?
Yeah.
I would anyway.
Yeah.
And that's how I treated them.
You've talked about some great characters there, but in your time at Livy, who were the biggest characters in and about the dressing room? Who caused you the most bother?
Apart from my staff.
I was about to say, Danny sounds like he's the troublemaker with the hamper.
I'm going to give you a laugh, Ewan, right? Nobody knows this again, right? Who caused me most bother? You had David Fernandez, Javier Grotto, Kino, and Rubio, right? 4. See, when we finished at top, they were great. I'm telling you, if you analyze these performances, these guys, and I thought, right, okay, French guys. So I would go at night and I would put a CD on, right, to learn French, right? Spanish, sorry.
Yeah.
I would go and learn Spanish. So I'm out there, and I'm getting all the phrases, eh? And I come in one morning, and the 4 of them were all sitting in the corridor before the training, and they're all going, yo. And I walked past them and I looked at them. Scusi, no problemo, para mí. And I walked on. You should have seen their faces. They thought I could speak Spanish. Oh, they were all going. Oh, the manager, hey, Espanol. No problemo, para mí. Yeah? Oh, that's funny. That was the only sentence I could take. Apart from, Cuba libre dos, señor, por favor. Pronto. That was it. Oh, funny. I wound them up with your name, but it was great. They were great players for Livingston. Players for Livingston.
Some of the best that have ever wore the jersey. Another character, and I know you've got a few stories about him, is Big Marv, a larger than life character. I'm sure you've got a few stories about Marv.
Oh, fell out with him big time, eh? Oh, I fell out with him big time. Me and Marv, and he thought it was a bully and all this and that. And I hated that, eh? I hated that because I thought it was great, eh? And I didn't like to fight with him, but we fell out. But we got Pastor Joe. We went back and talked to each other. I'll give you a story about Marvin. Great player. Livingston. Apart from Rangers, I think Livingston is his best time.
Yeah.
In Scottish football. He went to Glasgow Rangers, and that was different. And he was regarded as a big hero. And he phoned me, him and his mentor was Pastor Joe, and we raised money to buy a place in Nigeria for a school, for the kids, Leishman Hall, and what an honour that is.
Yeah.
And I tried to re-sign Marvin, and I kept phoning, and I spoke to Dominic, who was in charge. Dominic, he said, right, get him up to your house, and well, get him up. And so I phoned him and Pastor Joe, Zion Place, right? That was, and that is who, if you speak to Marvin, is a pastor of Zion Place.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I finally got them. I says, where are you guys? I want to talk to you about your next year. And he came up to my house in Kelty Bridge. My wife was alive at the time, you and me. So they come up, we're sitting, and my wife was making sandwiches and coffee and tea. And then I said, I hope I'm not out of order here, but forgive me if I am, Marvin. But Marvin was sitting down with Pastor Joe, and I said to him, right, Marvin, I spoke to the board, which was Dominic at the time, and I can offer you this. No. God tells me to move on. He says, God says it's not the right move now to stay at Livingston. I'm saying to myself, oh, right, okay. I says, right, what about if I increase the offer, Marvin? He says, no. I've discussed it and I've prayed and everything, me and Pastor Joe. I says, I've got a problem here. I says, I've got a problem here. So I phoned Dominic. I says, look, Dominic told me the story. He says, look, Jim, go up in 2 stages, give him another offer, and then your final offer. So I went back to Marvin. I says, Marvin, I know I can't speak to God, Marvin, but maybe if you could have a chat, and I'm going to offer you this. And he went away, and I went away, and Mary's making the tea and the sandwich. Come back. He says, no, it's not to do with money. It's not the money. It's time to go. I've done my thing. I says, well, Marvin, what about if I give you this, and this is my final offer? So I went away again, come back. He says, I spoke to Pastor Joe, and we spoke to God, and God's saying that this is a place to stay. I mean, I say, if I could have spoke to God right away, you know what I'm saying?
Cut out the middle, man, eh?
And I apologise, Marvin. I'm not disrespecting you. I'm not disrespecting Marvin. Is a real religious guy, and him and Pastor Joe, and he's done so much for back home with his kids or the youngsters back home, and I love him a bits, and I mean that. He did a great job. One of the best signings Livingston's ever had, Marvin. And I know we fell out and sometimes we didn't go on, but hey, he did a great job.
He's one of the best centre-halves I've ever seen at Livy. I've never seen a guy head a ball as hard as Marvin could. He was incredible in there.
Honestly, it was amazing. It was amazing. And so was Stevie Tosh, Barry Wilson, David Bingham. These guys came in. And you like what we had? A great team spirit. The guys, whether Davey was the best coach or I was the best manager, or it was a mixture, working together. But the guys, Stuart Lovell, can I spend a bit of time on him? I hope Stuart hears this, get him on. But Stuart Lovell was the best captain. You know what I mean? At Livingston, he was superb captain because he worked with the players, worked with the management, and everything. Unbelievable. He deserves a lot of credit as well.
He was an incredible captain, and he'll forever be a Livingston legend. He's obviously the man that lifted the League Cup in 2004. He'll always be an icon at Livy.
And rightly so. Rightly so.
And
see if Stuart Lovell ever comes back to Livingston or whatever, you make sure he gets treated properly, for the fans. Make sure that he gets the respect that he deserves. And I mean that. The respect that he deserves.
You've touched on it already, but that first campaign in the top flight will forever live as probably the most memorable in Livingston's history. What was the initial target when Livy got promoted, and when did you start thinking that European football was a genuine reality?
We had an honesty meeting at what hotel where did we stay? You?
Dalmahoy.
See, that Alzheimer's, eh? And we had a meeting and we talked to the players and we set out the targets. Now, we had just come up, so the target, some players, let's stay up. And I'm saying to myself, Chris, we've just been winning, eh? Davey, we've been winning. I says, come on, let's get higher. So we set our targets to get near the top 6, eh? Let's forget about avoiding relegation. We're better than that. Christ, we're better than some of the teams we're playing. We hammered them. And then when we got near the top 6, come on then, let's achieve that. And we got to the top 6. And we're beating Aberdeen, we're beating Dundee United, we're beating Dunfermline, we're beating all the teams, eh? Come on, lads. And we set our target for the top 3. Sorry, the top 4 Europe.
Yeah.
Right? Now, can you remember then?
Yeah, I remember that season fondly, yeah.
First game, top 6, what was the score? Away for him.
Away at Celtic. It was the day Celtic got the league title, wasn't it? Got beat 5-1.
5-0. Aye. See, you remember that. You remember us getting humped 5-0, you're right. And then the next game, what was that?
Next game. Did we draw 0-0 with Aberdeen?
Aberdeen. 2-0. Humped.
Got beat up at Aberdeen.
And that, but we had another meeting and said, right, okay, we got beat 5-0, 2-0, but 3 games to go. I think Dunfermline, Rangers at home, Dunfermline away, or Dunfermline at home, Rangers at home, and Hearts away.
Yeah.
Right? Dunfermline at home, we humped them 4-0 or something, 2-0, 3-0. Rangers, Amaruso scored.
Yeah.
Mind that?
Yeah.
1-0. Shoot Lovell, great goal. And I can't mind who scored the other goal.
Barry Wilson. And then Barry Wilson got the equaliser.
Barry Wilson, did he?
Yeah.
And then Tynecastle, right? You win at Tynecastle, you finish third top. And I can't, was it 2-0 or 3-0? I tell you one thing, that was the best thing. I was doing that. I was banned, eh? I got sent to the dugout for no reason, bad referee. And I was doing there, and that was one of the proudest moments of my life.
It was an incredible achievement, but finishing third in the top flight, as you say, took us into European football. How amazing was that, considering you'd gone from the move from Meadowbank to Livingston, and you were now going to take Livingston over to Liechtenstein to play FC Vaduz European tie. Like, how emotional was that for you to achieve something like that?
I'll tell you who was emotional. See, my son, right? My daughter was brought up, right? She's older. She was brought up in my Dunfermline journey, right? If that's what I call it. My son, Jamie, was brought up in my Livingston journey. My son, I could have got him, I could have paid a flight for him to come on the official team flight.
Yeah.
Right? No for him. He went on the Livy supporters bus, right? Right? I had to pay for him to go, whatever it cost. It wasn't a match. And he went, instead of coming earlier, getting the treatment on the team bus, the team flight, he was on the Livy supporters. I could have got my ticket for the director's box with his mum, right? No. He's with the Livy supporters across the other side, singing these songs. He was brought up a Livy supporter. Yeah, Jamie Leishman. I'm telling you, and he loved it. I'm telling you, he thought this was great. Eh? And when we won promotion to the Premier League with the cup, somebody's got photos of me and him walking around the track with the cup. The First Division Championship, getting promotion to the Premier League, and my lad is there, eh? And you see, he loved it, eh? He loved it, eh? That was a memory, my son was there. I can't mind all the guys, all the boys with their drums and all the supporters. They looked after him brilliantly. My wife was crap myself. Well, where is he? What is he doing? Is he drunk? Because he was only 15 or something. I said, of course he'll be drunk. You'd be trying to get fixed with a bird from Vilnius or whatever. Christ almighty. He was having a great time. He said that it was the best football journey of his life. What was it like for me? Can I tell you? Right? I'm getting a bit emotional here. Life's a journey, yeah? Right? Ups and downs. I was 29 when I was the manager of Dunfermline, and I went from there to the top of the Premier League with Dunfermline. Fantastic. Fantastic. And I was lucky enough to get another opportunity. I went back with 3 games to go, and we beat Dundee 5-0, and Dundee United 1-0, and got them to the cup final that Livingston played in. So I took great times at Dunfermline. But when I walked out at the stadium in Vaduz, I'm not joking you. I'm not joking. All the Livingston supporters, I'm not joking you. I'd never, ever experienced that in my life. Never experienced that. And so the Livingston supporters, during the day, were talking and whatever, and I walked out and the national anthem's playing. And I said to you, I looked along the line to all these guys. I think Rubio scored, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I looked along the line, and I'm quite an emotional guy, and I'm saying, I can't believe this. I'm from Logelly. I'm a Logelly boy. I love my football, and I'm standing here. There's 100 managers in Scottish football have never done this in their life. And I'm looking along, and I'm looking at these players, and the tears start to come down my face. And I say to myself, thanks, guys. Thanks for allowing me to share this moment in football for Livingston. And I'm being serious. I'm being so serious here. It was the most amazing feeling in my life. Yeah, right? And nobody, they can say what they want about Jim Leishman. They can say, oh, happy-go-lucky and all this, and poetry and all this. But that was one of the most amazing experience in my life. Along with, I've won loads, 7 medals I've won, 6 medals, Ewan. But that, and taking over Dunfermline with 3 games to go and keeping them up, that were the 2 most emotional times of my life, football-wise.
Jim, honestly, it's amazing to hear you talk so passionately about Livy.
Why should I not?
Oh no, I know. You don't often get it though with our little football club, and it's amazing to hear the memories that you've got with the club and stuff as well. And it's amazing to hear the emotion you talk about the club with. It's genuinely a delight to hear.
John Robertson, Alan Preston, Davy Hay, they deserve so much credit for the history. Later on, not at the start, they weren't involved. George McNeil and I, George was 10 years, but they deserve so much credit as well. I would never, ever think this is a Jim Leishman story. That would be so false, and that would be so, what an arsehole. But the guys, Ewan, deserve so much credit. Right? And you're going to tell me about the second game?
Yeah, the second game, the home game, was it wasn't without drama, to say the least. What went through your head when that disallowed goal hit the back of the net? What started going on at the stadium when that happened?
Before that, can I go back a bit? Because you want to hear the real stories, right? I'm the manager, right? And we've got the strip. Vaduz for Liechtenstein. I get called to a meeting, the pre-meeting, and their shorts were the same colour as our shorts. Alistair Hood was security. Jim Renton was our secretary. So I'm going in, and it says, the home team is going. I says, no, I'm not going to change. I'm not changing. we're not changing. This is it. And oh, Chris, everything, the game was going to get cancelled, didn't it? No, you have to change. You have to change. I says, no, I'm not changing. All right. So I went out, had to agree to change the colour of the shorts. Jim Renton said to the UEFA officials, see these kit men, you can't persuade them. Jim had to tell them that was a kit man. Anyway. No, it was nothing, eh?
Yeah.
We drew 1-1. Rubio scored to make it 1-1 across in the deuce. And we go to the referee, I'm looking at us, come on, ref. I'm shouting, ref. Go now. Boy puts the ball in, right? Ball comes across, the most amazing volley for this guy, poof, top corner, and I'm like, no, what's happened? But I don't know if the fans out there, to the corner, it's coming across, time up, before the guy hit the ball. Well, I'm like this, that's it. Well, all the directors and all the coaching staff come to me, I'm on the track, thinking I'm rude, but he's going, whoa, yeah, they're blaming me, eh? They're blaming me, and I'm like this, I'm going to stiffen 2 or 3 of them, I'm going to fucking punch your chin out. Anyway, and Check Young, sorry for swearing there, that's more my first swear word, you. But I was going to stiffen them, eh? And then Check Young comes on, Jim, you're through. All the Lithuanian coaches and the director, they're all upset. Have you got something? What are you going to say to them? I'm going to tell you, Check, they've annoyed me. I'm going to only say one thing. OOT, out, you're out, beat it. That was what Stephen on the radio. I got reported next morning for being very, very undiplomatic towards foreigners. Get out, beat it. Couldn't give us the monkeys. They're away. Cheerio. Brilliant. Hey, Livingston's never been beat at home in Europe.
There's not many teams that can say that, Jim. Not many teams can say that.
That's true. That's why I'm proud of you.
That obviously wasn't the end of the European journey. We went on into the next round of the UEFA Cup to play Sturm Graz. Had the first leg over in the Arnold Schwarzenegger Stadium. What are your memories from that game, Jim?
Oh, well, I think the year before, Sturm Graz had beat Rangers something like 5-0 or something. Mm-hmm. And they beat Rangers. So Alan Preston, and he went to see them, and we did our homework, and then we went across the way. We always, Livingston Football Club, Ewan, at that time, I don't know what David Martindale does now, but at that time, we had the tools to prepare properly. Dominic Keane, all these guys, we got and we always prepared for the game. Again, we went outside, but a different experience for Vaduz, different. You know, he knew that they were a grade above me.
Yeah.
We were too experienced, I think. We were too experienced, and if I look back, and I'm sure if Davey looks back when we talk about it, it would have been done a wee bit different. So we've got to take a wee bit. I'm talking about Austria, right? At Graz. I think we could have done better. At home, we were so unlucky.
You've just led me on to my next one perfectly, Jim. The home game is one of my favourite ever games as a Livingston supporter. Again, what was that like beating a top European side at Livy?
But we lost a goal just before. Who was the right back? Who was the right back?
I think David McNamee played that night.
David McNamee. Well done, David, because we got two for Bobby Robson. But David, and he lost possession just before half time, and they scored from that. And so they just cleared the ball, whatever, and that made it and we would have been something like 2-0 up.
Yeah.
Or 3-1 up. And that would have been different. They were crapping themselves. Right? Boris Becker, he was in the stand, remember? You mind that?
No, I don't remember Boris Becker being there.
He was in the stand, and he was serving volleys out of the shop. He was there. He's sexy. Can you believe it?
And obviously the European adventure came to an end. But I mean, what a way to win that game on the night. Barry Wilson's winner in stoppage time.
Great management, I thought.
That season, we finished 9th in the league that season. Was it always going to be difficult to replicate what achieved the season before?
Well, we lost some great players, Martin, Oscar Rubio, and Kino, I'm sure. I tell you who's a good fullback. Philippe Branco. Was it Philippe Branco?
Yeah, Philip Branco.
He was a good steady fullback, as well, really nice. And remember, we had Amor for Barcelona, about 75 caps, scored 1 goal. He just wanted to come across and study the Scottish coaching. I don't think I like my methods, right? Like Monday morning, golf, lads. Tuesday afternoon, up the club. Wednesday, they have. Thursday, well, no share. Then Friday. Saturday, let's go and beat them. I'm only joking, you. I hope you're not taking me serious, you. You, and to finish third top, you know the lovely guys knew that we did a lot of preparation for the performance. We did. And the players did as well, by the way.
At the end of that season, you decided to take a back seat and take a role upstairs at Livy. And the first Brazilian manager in British football came in, Marcio Maximo. What are your memories of him? He was certainly a unique character. Would it be the best way to say?
No. Ewan, you want me honest about the funny about here? That's one of the reasons that I left Livy. He was hopeless. Hopeless. I'm sorry. All the fun Darby dozy about rebuilds and I just couldn't take to the boy, and that's one of the reasons that I said, I'm away. And you were lucky that Davy Hayes stayed and helped win the cup. I knew after a board meeting, and I'm being brutally honest, right? I just thought the guy was false, and nothing against him. I didn't know, but football-wise, he was false. When I met him, we're sitting in the boardroom and we're talking, and he says he's going to come up with ways. He's got ways, Brazilian ways that will beat the old firm. I'm telling you 100% truth to the Livingston fans. And they come up and he says, right, when the system, when we get the possession, we go, pa, pa, pa. I'm sitting listening to this boy. What kind of gun is that? Oh, you keep the ball, you go, pa, 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 pa. How's that going with the Rangers? And do you think, Massimo, that the players and coaches now don't think, pa, 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 keep possession? Is that what you're telling them? But after, you and I said, I'm not going to listen to this shite. It was hopeless. It was hopeless, Ewan. I'm sorry. Right. He wanted to get a sandpit built, right, for the goalkeepers to practice their goalkeeping, right? Which you have in France and all of them. They have a big. So the goalies, it's harder. They go in, you fire shots. It gives them strength for the. So the idea was right. So Bob Purvis, right? My friend Bob Purvis did that, built it. I went up twice, and all I got was 2 dog shits. Sorry for Livingston fans, 2 dog shits. That's it. Never used it. Tennis balls, everything.
And
But you're laughing at you, and I'm telling you the truth. You say to me, Jim, please come on and tell us Livingston stories. I'm telling you, Massimo was hopeless. I'm sorry, nice guy, Massimo. You'll hate my guts if he ever comes back to me. But you weren't qualified to be a manager at Livingston Football at that level. Massimo was murder. Ewan, I got asked to go back to Dunfermline then when he came in. I got asked to go back to Dunfermline, and I was like that because I was that was 9 seasons, eh? Another season I would have got a testimonial, and I think I would have got a nice tribute, eh, for the Livingston fans, because I tried really hard not to let them down. But I said, I can't stay with this guy. And Davey was taking on me. Hey, you want to go one of the first things, and who was it, Ronaldo or something, or Ronaldinho? He says, I coached him, I coached Ronaldinho when I was a young kid, and blah, blah, blah. He's my friend, and I was his. Well, he went across to Spain when he was in Barcelona. He went up to him and says, speaking in Spanish, hello, and he got a photo to him, and the press guy sent the photo back to Scotland, saying, oh, the Livingston manager he coached. Okay, boy, didn't care who he was. I think Ronaldo or Ronaldinho heard of me before him, eh? Anyway, I may be being too cruel, but I couldn't care. He wasn't good enough.
the other thing I was going to ask you, Jim, is that at that time, just as your time at Livingston was coming to an end, we'd started producing some younger players, and Jim McArthur had spotted Robert Snodgrass and Graham Dorrans. What were your early memories of them as players, and did you ever expect them to have the careers that they've gone on to have?
Brilliant, the two of them. Robert Snodgrass, right? Jim McArthur, Ewan, phoned me, he says, Gaffer. He calls me Gaffer to the day, because I had him at Dunfermline, right? Gaffer, I've got a player. I says, right, he says, Leeds United, he's going to Leeds. I need £20 a week. I said, what do you mean? He says, stays with his mum, that'll help him, that'll get him messages. I says, all right, okay. I'm telling you, that'll make the difference. And it did. I met him, meet his mum and his uncle, and stayed, but Robert was going down the wrong way. I can't mind the name of where he stayed in that area, but he used to get the bus. We sent a bus through from him, and he was getting chased all the time. And he'd go on the bus and come through, and then he signed. And much did we get for him?
I think we got about 100,000 when he went down to Leeds. 100,000.
And who was the other player?
Graham Dorrans.
Much?
I think it was $250,000 when he went down to West Brom.
Right. Where did that money go?
Oh, that went straight into the pocket of the Italian that shall not be named.
Right, there you go. Livingston Football Club knew there's a lot more players. Lee Griffith, 2 or 3 other players that all started with Tony Fitzpatrick and Dominic Keane again, the location central. Get them there, get them for Edinburgh, get them for Dunfermline, get them for Glasgow, get them for wherever. And that was it. And it was a great, but then went belly up. Your fault, you. Great players, some great youngsters coming through. James McPake. McPake were playing at Airdrie Football Club. James McPake was a striker and were beating Celtic 2-0 at half time in the BP Youth Cup. And James McPake scored the 2 goals, and just before half time, he broke his leg. And we got beat 3-2. James McPake. You and I was at the mall. I was at the Mo Uni. Honestly, I just loved the place. I just want these guys to come through, man. Richard Britton, what career he's had.
Yeah, Richie, really good player, Richie as well.
Well, we gave him his debut at Almondvale. I gave him his debut at Almondvale. I love it, man. I love the dream. I love the dream. They gave me Livingston Football Club. You gave me a second opportunity. And see, when you get an opportunity, you either say, right, oh, I failed again, or you take it. You grasp it by the balls and say, right, I'm going for this. And I did. I got a second opportunity, and I loved it, by the way. Every minute, I loved it. I loved going across the bridge, coming into the stadium and going in. Great people for the very start, Ewan. I'm talking about for the very first week I was there. I'm telling you, I can't speak highly enough yet, man.
What would it mean to you, Jim, to see Dunfermline get promoted this year and you can come back watching your beloved Dunfermline playing Livingston in the top flight? What would that mean to you?
Robert, when I toured Dunfermline, when I toured Livingston, got them promotion, we played Dunfermline. We beat Dunfermline 4-1, we beat Dunfermline. They finished third top. And you want to know, I love both of them, eh? If you ask me, would I rather be the manager at Dunfermline or Livingston? I've had greater times at Dunfermline or Livingston. Dunfermline is my team, Uni. Deep down in my heart, Dunfermline Athletic Football Club was my families, my mum and dad, my brothers, my sister. They all loved it because I was there. And to get the manager's job at 29 and to take them through the leagues right to the top into a cup final was amazing, eh? And to help them survive twice was great. But see, Livingston, yeah, boy, that's up there. That's up there. I'm going to thank the people of West Lothian, yeah, right? I'm going to thank them all for accepting me in as an incomer to their town, to their village, Livingston. Because without their help, I went to every school, Ewan, every single school, the high schools, John Young's and whatever. I went to every primary school to talk to the kids, and I wanted to promote them, and I was proud to do that, eh? I told the kids, this is no, right, forget Rangers, your mum and dad, and they all come from Glasgow into Livingston. Thank us, they're all coming in. I'm telling you, this is your team. This is your team. You tell your mum and dad you want to support your local team. And the kids, see, when I saw them with the Livingston strips on, we were getting 10,500 people. 10,500 people. Amazing. It was fantastic.
I remember it fondly, and it's such a shame. Like, you talk about the crowds that we had back in those days, selling out Almondvale almost every few weeks, and now we've got that kind of core support of about 1,000, 1,200 fans. It is a shame when you've seen, how many fans that there could be coming along to Livingston.
It'll happen. Hopefully it happens again, Uni. And then, Christ, I'll tell you one thing. Who was the guy that beat at the drum every week? Great people. I wish... I'm a disgrace, Ewan, because I forget their names, eh? I forget their names. I'm a disgrace. I should know their names because they were great for me. They really, really respected me and it made me feel part of them. Eh?
Well, Jim, it goes without saying it was such a pleasure getting to speak to you and chat to you about your time at Livingston. As I say, all the boys on the podcast, you would have been one of the first names that we would have wanted to get on at some point. So thank you so much for taking the time. And obviously we wish you the best with your current role as as a councillor, and with Dunfermline as well, and Provost as well. So thank you so much for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure chatting to you this evening.
Great, man. 9 seasons, Ewan. 9 seasons. Great people I've met, and I love you all to bits. Sadly, 2 or 3 of them have died that started us off. Peter Reynolds, I'd like to mention Peter Reynolds, and Wooly, Live of the Lions. I think it was Lorraine, his wife, sadly passed away. But great people, really, really staunch in the early days support. So I love you all, get bits, guys, and hey, we'll meet again. We'll meet again.
The song is for the fans, and thanks for their devotion. So when you sing it loud, sing it with emotion.
Livingston, no Livingston, it's up to Amberville. Livingston, 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 oh Livingston, no Livingston, we love it when you score. Livingston, oh Livingston, the Amberville Lions roar. Livingston, oh Livingston, we realize our vision. Livingston, oh Livingston, into the Premier Division.